Today, let's paint the fascinating beauty of Switzerland. Let's paint lofty mountains with sheets of snow on the peak of the mountains and, of course, a cozy Swiss chalet. Let's start by drawing the mountain ranges. We don't draw mountains with curved lines as how kids do it. We should keep the outline jagged. Next, let's draw the chalet on the foot of the mountain. Let's make this sketch as simple as possible. I add few lines to show the door and windows. Now let's paint. Here I get a mix of olive green and amethyst genuine to paint the mountain ranges. I want you to pay attention on how I make the strokes. First, my brush hair is flattened. My paint consistency is a bit creamy. Third, my brush doesn't hold much water, allowing me to create dry brush strokes. Doing this gives us an instant sheets of snow impression on the mountain. I start my stroke on the edge of the mountain so I get a hard border, then quickly drag my brush to the direction that will show the form of the mountain. Always keep your mixture thick and creamy. If your mix is watery, you won't be able to do this stroke. Next, I get a light wash of ochre and blend it with a little bit of the dark green colors to paint the lower part of the mountain. Here, the wash should be really light. While the area is moist, I drop some hints of dark color to create the general texture and dimension of the mountain. Here, I darken the area around the roof to define its shape. It is like doing negative painting. Since we don't want too much white spots on the mountain, we lessen it by simply layering a softer wash of light yellow ochre. On the right side of the mountain, I change my color to make it similar to the reference photo. Again, we start with dry strokes on top, then light soft wash as we move down the mountain. Here on the hill, I draw vertical strokes to portray distant trees. I vary the size and height. The stroke is also blended to the moist background because we want it to be part of the middle ground. I do the same technique on painting the grassland. I do few quick strokes and keep color connection every time I change colors. I even splatter some paints for more liberating watercolor effect. Here in the foreground, I make the green color darker by adding indigo to my mix. Next, I splatter some yellow-orange colors to show impression of wildflowers on the foreground too. We are almost done with the grassland. Let's add a little detail on the mountain since the layer is already dry. Here on this step, we are adding dimension so it won't look flat. We want to show impression of mountain range with little strokes. Keeping the peaks of the mountains really dark is the key to make it look more alive. Next, let's paint the chalet. I start with the roof using burnt sienna. Then with a darker and creamier paint, I paint the side of the house facing us. Remember the principle on painting the sides of the lighthouse with changing tones to show dimension? That is the exact thing we are doing here. Let's add more depth on the chalet by adding more dark strokes. Here I'm using my synthetic brush for crisp strokes. Now I'm defining the shape of the house by doing negative painting. As an accent, I put some white strokes on the house and on the foreground. We can stop from here as the painting looks complete. But I think we can enhance the painting by adding a little color on the sky to create contrast too. I moisten the sky area with water, then paint a light wash of horizon blue and amethyst here on the big blank space on the left. Since the first wash looks so pale and gray, I make it look more vibrant by adding a bit of horizon blue. I keep the edges soft by spraying some water. We are all done now. Next up will be old mills and meadows, so I'll see you on our next lesson.